Developers have already started doing that. They are preparing themselves to answer difficult questions. Most of them today, they actually acquire the land, take the permissions in hand fully, and then only they are launching the project. That is the one step which gets clear, because land is something which not many people understand. After spending 12 years in land acquisition, any new proposal comes to me, the only thing which comes to my mind, I am entering into a khosla ka khosla. Those who have seen this particular movie would realize this particular thing. Any investment in terms of land, till it gets fructified, registered, and you actually take the possession of the land, you feel that you are entering into some kind of a jam over here. But that's even the private equity investors also feel that way. So developers are now be getting prepared to answer different questions, difficult questions. They are getting acquainted to external control. Somebody would come as a director in my firm that they are getting acquainted to that. Okay, he will also ask questions. Avoid shortcuts, no more bending of regulations. They also are bringing much needed transparency in the whole process. So right from land acquisition up to position, they are bringing the transparency in the system so that they can be answerable to the debt partners, they can be answerable to the equity partners also. They are looking at a bigger picture. They are thinking through a proper business plan. पहले कैसा होता था? कितने की लैंड है? कितने का यहाँ पे सेलेबल पे एफएसआई बैठता है? And they used to actually do a cigarette packet के back side का calculations. And उसके बाद अगर सेलेबल पे इतना मिलता है, चलो done. The work is done, ये building ठोक डालते हैं. Very simple idea. And even today also many people do it. And I would not say it is wrong. But that is good for you and your sons. But when you start explaining it to others, then this doesn't work. Then you have to have a proper business plan, and then you have to actually think beyond that also. Most of them used to think about pure sale and lease model. Office है तो lease करो, and residential to sale karo. And especially in retail, hospitality and education, with Lavasa's experience I can tell you that sometimes close to 20 models are in existence for the same business, depending upon the investment and depending upon the control. So with this, the overall reporting systems and all that also becomes very critical, so that because many people are involved. There are some hotels where sometimes there are 100 investors. Every investor comes with 3 crores each, but they all are owners. So in this case, the responsibility is very high. Provide conducive work atmosphere for professionals. Now a father-son enterprise mein mera kya kaam? So many professionals actually stayed away from such kind of companies. And they used to find work only with Mahindras and Tatas and all these big companies. But today, as they are changing, even professionals also want to join these companies. Pay utmost attention to customer satisfaction. This is the era of social media. So developers are very much aware. And they are very much going into social media and they want to know what people are saying about it. Share latest information with investors and shareholders. That's a very good intention. But for sharing the information should be first available. And second thing, you should feel like sharing and there should not be any problem after sharing. So developers have moved into a sharing and caring mode. Rather than lena hai to le, nahi to kahin aur dekh. From that mode, they are going into this particular model. What is the information what private equity investors ask? What is the market you are trying to capture? How the market looks like? They want to know from you what is your perception of the market. Like for example, they know their retail business, how others are doing. But for your location, how the retail is going to work, that they want to understand from your own mouth. How are you going to address the needs? How different you are than the competitors? What is the value addition to the customer? What is your USP? They would ask. You are making a mall, other person also making the mall, you are making a hotel. So what extra you are bringing to the table? What is the size of the market? Can the market grow? What is uniqueness of your project? Will it last for a long time? And is your project easy to imitate? Now thankfully for Lavasa and all that, we can say that our project is very difficult to imitate. But a 100-acre township on the outskirts of Pune will be very easy to imitate. There are 6 townships currently on the outskirts of Hinjewadi. So when I am operating as one of them, if I want to seek the investment, I have to bring something else to the table. If I were to succeed in 6 different townships which are currently operating around Hinjewadi. What are your resources you need? what do you need to make, what do you have and what do you need from us, how we are going to deliver your project and services to the market in terms of technology, funds, people and partnerships, what are the systems and processes being adopted, and how would I get progress reports for my investors. See, understand one thing please, investors, private equity investors also, they come in two categories. Some of them actually put their own money and some of them actually go out in the market, raise money and then again they deploy that particular money in the market. So when they are investing money with a developer, they actually need is a monthly, some cases weekly, monthly, fortnightly or quarterly and annual reports, and they need these reports on a regular basis. Sometimes they need reports in a dashboard format, which they actually can see from their offices in Hong Kong, New York or Singapore or wherever on the parts of the earth they are. They should be able to see how the developer is basically going ahead and doing his work. What are the risks and rewards involved? That is, what are the investment risks and profit in the venture, and what is the plan B? Now everybody knows this particular fact that as the risks are higher, profits are also higher, or when the risks are low, profits are low. Now, some private equity investors want to go for high profit, high risk model. So there at that time the information they need is much higher than a normal residential simple project. So they would ask you, what is in the project for me and also for my investors? How would you prepare yourself for seeking private equity investment? First and foremost, we have to get complete control of land under consideration, preferably be ready with permission. Nobody likes surprises. And private equity investors, as they have seen so many plans and all that, they are very skeptical and they have a lot of doubts. So you should be able to clear their doubts. Prepare a complete business plan showing market potential, competition analysis, financial parameter, risk, reward, business network and exit strategy. If you are talking about retail and commercial, then sometimes you need to have an exit strategy also. Residential is sold, that means you are gone from the business. But in case of retail, commercial and hospitality, sometimes you need to get out of the business with profit. So what is the strategy? Are you going to take your company public after launching projects? Or you are going to have other investors come in and so that they can release the private equity investor, or you want to buy back the private equity investor after the project becomes successful. All options are with you. You have to provide all the options. You also have to take experts' advice. Very important thing, put structures, systems and reporting mechanism in place and don't try to do everything yourself. Today, except land acquisition and striking JVs, developers are practically outsourcing everything. They are outsourcing your construction completely. Earlier the developers used to manage whole teams with them of construction. And so between projects, sometimes the teams used to remain idle. Today most of the developers have gone to giving third party contracts where the complete contract is given to Shapoorji Pallonji, to L&T or Steiner or any other company. They are giving the contract, nobody wants to basically remain involved with this. Second thing, they would also arrange consultants to basically come on board who can seek private equity or debt. For marketing and sales also, there are consultants who basically take charge of everything. Sometimes developer manages a very skeletal sales organization and rest of the work is done by your channel partners. This is very common these days. You must have got a lot of calls from channel partners or you must have received a lot of emailers these days. So developers is doing what? He is doing his core activity of tying the project together and bringing everyone on board, and everyone does their job. One of this particular job is also putting systems and processes together, and there also they are moving towards experts rather than basically breaking their head. Very few people are actually bringing Tally together or an Excel sheet together and an AutoCAD drawing together and trying to figure out what they can make out of that. We have stopped that long time back, and so many small developers also, which we heard from the presentation, they already started doing, stopped this particular activity and keeping their systems and processes ready with the help of experts. Pay attention to core tasks and leave others to experts. Now setting house in order. You have to first understand what level of investment I want. Action plan would change accordingly. Project level if I want, it's very easy. If I want vertical level, retail, IT parks, residential township, it is little more difficult because I am asking for all my malls in my portfolio, money. Or all my IT parks in my portfolio, I am asking for money. Third and the most difficult, which is entity level. That is, you are asking someone to put faith in you and invest into you. So whatever you do, they become responsible for that particular thing because they are putting money along with you. So entity level is something which is third level, but which is most complicated. Naturally, at entity level, the investors are going to have hundreds of questions. At entity level, they are going to ask for very robust and very structured systems and very easy reporting mechanism with very clear cut, crisp dashboards. Essential tasks to be undertaken priority. First and foremost, you have to have a matching organization structure. When you are giving work to experts, then you should have smaller core team is required. That core team should be able to get the work done from the marketing professionals, from finance professionals, and also from your systems and ERP professionals. Enhancing technical and execution capabilities within the organization, you have to take that. You have to adopt project management techniques and reporting mechanism that you have to do. Initiate marketing and branding efforts. So many developers today are actually going for branding. And one of my biggest, one of the largest piece of advice I can give is that don't just market the project. Try to first brand yourself. Try to brand the project, and then you go to the market, because it's not only like who is saying, it's also important that what is being said and in which manner it is being said. So branding has become a very, very important aspect of the overall business, and branding starts right when you actually acquire the land, up to the delivery of the last apartment is given. Till that process, branding should play a very, very important role in the whole process. Creating quality control and customer care practices. Creating a panel of external advisor, legal, technical, regulatory, marketing, branding, financial and human resources. All these consultants should be either on board, and there should be one person in your organization who knows this particular business, how to get the work done. Proposing a decision support system structure. Decision support system basically comes out of your ERP and all these particular packages, that you have to have that decision support system in place. We saw some of the examples where machinery is underutilized or material is underutilized, nobody knows. So that should not happen anymore. Investor would not like that. They would think that this guy is actually wasting my resources. Putting together a succession plan. That is a very difficult question a private equity investor would ask to a 50-year-old developer. आपके 2 बेटे हैं, कल को आपका कुछ हो जाएगा और हम आपके साथ 5 या 7 या 9 साल तक है, आप क्या करने वाले हो? वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू आंसर. वो LIC की पॉलिसी बेचते ना, इंश्योरेंस की कोई पॉलिसी बेचते हैं, उसमें बोलते हैं आप मर सकते हो, इसके लिए आपके वाइफ को और बाकी सबको रिवॉर्ड है. तो बोलना बहुत डिफिकल्ट है, समझाना बहुत डिफिकल्ट है, बट प्राइवेट इक्विटी इन्वेस्टर्स आस्क दैट क्वेश्चन वेरी क्लियरली. सर कल को आपका कुछ हो गया तो आपके पास क्या प्लान है? Because till that time mostly this guy is not listed. This guy, control is in his hand only. Now these people are coming with some external control with some money. They would ask you one question, sir आप कैसा करने वाले हो? And you should have that kind of plan together. So you have to prepare for the worst and hope for the best after your preparations are done. You also have to look beyond business plan. How do private equity investors will differentiate between two very good investment opportunities? If both are neck and neck, they will actually look beyond the business plan. The last slide what I am putting forward over here, that they will actually go beyond and check with other developers, other private equity investors, debt finances. These people are very much connected, private equity people. They are a small club, but then they actually meet very regularly. Most of them are actually from very good colleges and all that, and they know everybody since their college days. So they actually will go on cross-checking. Taking feedback from service providers such as architects, engineers, real estate agents. Can anybody tell me the significance of this second point? Anybody? What is the significance of second point? Why a private equity investor would check with the architects and engineers and everyone? Third-party service providers. Why? Simple बात है. देसी भाषा में अगर मुझे बोलना है ना, आदमी पेमेंट के लिए कैसा है? They would ask. सीधी बात है, अगर आप आर्किटेक्ट और इंजीनियर आपके लिए लास्ट आते हैं लिस्ट में, तो इसका मतलब आपकी प्रायोरिटी सही नहीं है. जो आर्किटेक्ट इंजीनियर आपके लिए काम करते, प्रोजेक्ट बनाते हैं, उसको आप लास्ट में पेमेंट देते हो, एक साल रुलाते हो, तो प्राइवेट इक्विटी बोलेगा ये क्या चल रहा है, मेरे को भी ऐसे ही करेगा. So because of these things, sometimes the architects and engineers have realized that they are getting paid well in advance, much before the expected. Somebody was saying that he never got paid before the due date earlier, but things are changing. At least like when they are realizing that private equity investor can even go and ask these queries, and googling to find out any negative feedback. I will tell you one example. A Hong Kong-based private equity investor, he invited one developer for dinner in one of the good 5 stars in Mumbai. Both of them actually came, the private equity investor was picked up from his hotel and then actually drove to another hotel. The developer didn't knew that this private equity investor was actually silently observing each action. how he was behaving with his own driver, the way actually when they got down and when the door was open, how he behaved with the doorman over there, and then the entire order process went, entire food and everything was ordered, and almost 2.5 hours were enjoyed. At the end of the day, after one and a half month, he didn't hear anything from the private equity investor. The simple reason the private equity investor got to spend the time because he didn't want to understand the person's business, that was already done. He wanted to understand how this fellow is in normal life, how is in social life. He realized that everywhere this fellow has had contempt for those who were working for him. His own driver, doorman, the waiter, the cook, everyone who actually chef was brought to the table because some questions were there. And he realized that this fellow is actually not able to work with this kind of people. That made him very clear that बाद में मुझे पछताना पड़ सकता है. These guys don't have too much of time. And they have too many proposals to look at. Such kind of cues and pointers also go against you if you are actually seeking for this kind of thing. And so therefore, general behavior in terms of business has to be a very acceptable social behavior that has to be there. Last but not the least, solve pending issues with customers, financiers and other service providers. Be a socially responsible corporate by involving into social and community welfare project. Adopt environment friendly construction practices. Create a strong public relationship department. Having a nice and clean corporate image is important than ever before. अपने एक कैंपेन आजकल चल रहा है, मुझे बताने की जरूरत नहीं है. एक टेलीकॉम कंपनी एक कैंपेन चला रही है बहुत सक्सेसफुली. कैन एनीबडी टेल मी व्हिच कैंपेन इट इज? टेलीकॉम कंपनी का कैंपेन चल रहा है पूरे इलेक्शंस के पहले और अभी बाद में भी चल रहा है. कैन एनीबडी टेल मी व्हिच कैंपेन इट इज? उल्लू मत बनाओ, आइडिया. तो प्राइवेट इक्विटी इन्वेस्टर को 10 साल 15 साल पहले उल्लू बनाना बहुत आसान था, बट आज वो इतना इन्फॉर्म्ड है कि उसको उल्लू बनाना बहुत मुश्किल है. अब उसने गूगल कर लिया और एक कुछ नेगेटिव चीज वगैरह उसने देख ली उसके अंदर, तो हिज माइंड विल डेफिनेटली गेट अफेक्टेड. इन्वेस्टमेंट में हैपन, मे नॉट हैपन, बट डेफिनेटली ही इज इन अ पोजिशन टू गो ऑन कलेक्टिंग एवरी पॉसिबल पीस ऑफ इन्फॉर्मेशन. दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. एंड व्हेन यू आर सीकिंग अ हायर ऑर्डर इन्वेस्टमेंट, द सामने वाला ऐसा करने वाला है ये सोच के आपको चलना पड़ेगा. That's what I can say about basically getting private equity investment. It's a complex business basically, but once you master this particular trick and idea, then it can happen. 6 years back, one of the 400-acre townships, for the first time, they went into seeking private equity. And I'm happy to note that I was on the part of the advisory side. We completed 400-acre township investment happened in Pune, and subsequently, 5 more projects with the same developer, the private equity investor invested. And after 6 years or 7 years, the private equity investor is really, really happy. Let me tell you, there is something in this particular city which I am currently speaking into. I started my work from this city 12 years back. I actually was commuting from Mumbai. But I started my work 12, 13, 14 years back from this particular city. And let me tell you, the developers over here have given very good experience to private equity investors. That's the kind of a culture of this particular city. Straight, मुंह पे जो है वो बोलने वाले लोग ये city के हैं, and private equity investors like those kind of people. So let me tell you, already many people from Pune have sought private equity investment. So many small to mid-level developers are looking for private equity, and definitely putting your house in order and putting systems and process in place, that definitely helps. We have enjoyed that particular thing. We have suggested private equity investors to go for systems and processes, and they have enjoyed, developers, they have enjoyed this particular part. When you are working on your own, it's pretty easy. But when you want developers working with private equity investors, then you need a lot of systems and processes in place. Okay? Anybody has any questions for this presentation? One more thing. If you are planning to go for IPO or anything else, or then later on having institutional placement into your business, even again, same kind of things is required. Because when you are going to public markets, then that also matters. Any questions? How? How do you search local PE investor? Actually speaking, yes. Actually, that's a very good question. Both of them actually searching each other. A developer also keeps on searching, and private equity investors also, they actually keep on searching different opportunities. So they track various real estate portals, they track various real estate magazines, they also track general magazines also. So they keep on searching for you. But for your case, if you want to do that particular work, then there are two categories of private equity investor. One is basically locally you can raise the fund and you can deploy, and then there is a FDI fund also are there. So if your project is FDI compliant, then FDI, the funds which are foreign funds, they can invest into you. And there are several smaller local funds are there. And today, most of these what you call as Edelweiss and all these particular, you can say investment bankers, they also have floated local funds, or ASK, Edelweiss, Motilal Oswal, Anand Rathi, all these people have floated, and they have small capital to deploy, and they actually want to distribute it with the small projects basically. So in this case, it is easier to basically get noticed by them rather than the Blackstone and all that. That can happen later on. But smaller 20-25 crore project also, they generally are willing to invest. But again, what they would say is that some kind of a developer should have a business plan, and developer should basically appear honest, and at the same time, he should be able to, they should find that this guy is going to work, do work in a certain way. Another thing, what is scanned by them mainly is there are several basically private equity business has some of the portals or some of the associations are there. So in this particular case, if you get in touch with those associations, then actually they can help you getting connected with the actual private equity investors. So there is a magazine also, private equity magazine is also there, and they also run a portal. So in that particular case, even requirements can be posted that I am looking for such kind of a private equity. So these days in a connected world, all these things are possible. Even portals like LinkedIn also help a lot in this particular case. That if you are a developer and if you are on a LinkedIn and if you put that, then developers would, the private equity investors would actually search for you. Another good idea would be companies like Jones Lang LaSalle and Colliers International and all this particular, they can also help today. They have complete divisions are there who can work for this particular thing. You can give requirement that I need much needed capital. That's possible. We can catch up some of the questions while the dinner is on. So I'll just allow the program to forward. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for being patient.